Hi, welcome. We are so excited to be on here tonight with you guys, and for all of you guys that watch this recording afterward. Thank you for hopping on here. We are so excited to hear from some of our educators tonight and what they have experienced and tips on how to keep our own cups full and how to have the energy to show up for all our babies. So first off, I'm going to introduce Miss Emily. So Miss Emily, go ahead and take it away.
Hey everyone, I am so happy to be with you all tonight. Yes, my name is Emily and I have been a teacher kind of all over the place. I've taught in New York, in New Jersey, in Virginia, and now I'm down in Florida, been all over up and down the East Coast. And I actually started Plexus out of complete desperation. When I was teaching here in Florida, I was in a very high risk school in a very rough area of Fort Lauderdale. And it was hard. You know, my classroom I had 24 students and it was just me by myself. And I was surviving off coffee and chocolate. Literally, I needed 2 cups of coffee to start my day. I had a Keurig in my classroom. You know, when you have your students have a little job for the week, I had a student whose job was to bring me my coffee. Like literally, because I would walk around the room and lose it. It was that child's job for the week to bring Mrs. Little her coffee because I couldn't function without it. And then when the coffee ran out, the chocolate was there. And I have always been a very health conscious person. And at that point, work was really hard. We were in a huge transition in our personal life. We just moved from Virginia down to Florida. Everything was new, everything was upside down, and I was stressed. So I turned to all the things that I normally do. I ate super clean. I mean, Whole30, paleo, really, really clean. I did yoga every single day. I was a runner. All the things I tell you to do. Eat right, exercise. I am here for it. And I'm telling you, it wasn't enough. After about 6 months, I think it was like January into the school year, I finally broke down and I reached out to my cousin who was posting about her pink drink. And I was like, I don't even care what it is, but give it to me because something has got to give. I was so overwhelmed with everything between all the things that a teacher already has on her plate. On top of that, I had a 1-year-old daughter who I had to leave for work before her. My husband had to bring her to daycare, or my sister had to bring her to daycare. And I would leave, she'd go to daycare. By the time I got home, it was dark out. I had to cook dinner, and then it was bath and bed, and I had absolutely no time with her. On top of that, I was so mentally cloudy and full of anxiety that I couldn't even have a conversation. Like literally, my family knew, don't talk to me until I have a glass of wine, because I literally could not handle the pressure. I needed something. And I was at that moment also dealing with some postpartum depression. So I was on anti-anxiety medication, and it was crumbling. It was crushing me. I couldn't do it anymore. And whether you're in a school where you have a ton of great support, or you're in a school where you don't have the support that you need, no matter what, as a teacher, you have so much on your plate. And it wasn't until I actually said, yes, I need more. I need more than just eating good. I need more than just exercising. Something needs to pull me out of this, that I said yes to Plexus. And Plexus has changed my life. It's been 3 years now, which just blows my mind. And I've never missed a day of my pink drink. It carried me all throughout my next pregnancy, all through postpartum, which I've had no postpartum depression this time, which is incredible. And I'm now to the point where I am able to be present for my family. When my husband comes home from work, I can answer. I can ask him, how was your day? And I can tell him how mine was, because I can actually formulate sentences. um, and I've been able to kick my coffee addiction, which is huge, because I realized that the coffee was triggering anxiety, because that's just a vicious circle. And so it took my health journey to a whole nother level. It allowed me to kick the brain fog, to finally have energy to keep up with my kids, to be present for my family, and continue to make healthy choices that I was already trying to make.
I love that. I love that you had a little person that would bring you your coffee. Like that's the best idea. But
There
I
was
also
no
love,
option.
yeah, I love that. I also love though that you were able to kick that habit and be present with your family. So thank you so much, Emily. I just love hearing how it has made such an impact. Next up, we're going to hear from Julia. So take it away, sister.
Hi guys, I am Julia Carty. I am here in Tennessee, which is a new thing. We moved here about 7 months ago, but my story is going to be a little bit different. I went to college, I moved off, and I had two goals. I was going to find a husband and I was going to have fun, and I needed a major. And my really goal for life was I thought I would live internationally and rock babies in an orphanage. And I thought, what degree goes parallel with that? And teaching was it. So I went into education. I met my husband the week before college started. We got married the day after graduation, and then life happened. And I got my first teaching job. We moved to North Carolina. We are gypsies. We've lived everywhere. And I genuinely love teaching because I love children. And then we moved back to Alabama in August the following year. And if you're a teacher, you know, if you move somewhere in August, typically all the teaching jobs, especially 20 years ago, were gone. And so I actually got hired as a private educator. I homeschooled a group of kids for several years. If you know the LeBrant family, Cole was in my little class on Fridays. That's just if you have kids that love YouTubers. And so I was a homeschool teacher with no children. And I started having babies, and I really just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was able at that time, my husband was in the ministry, and I went home with my children, and I'll tell you, we were drowning. I had a lot of student loans from that degree that I was not using. He was in the ministry, and fast forward about 10 years, 4 babies later, so we had 4 babies within 5 years. We found ourselves in Dallas, Texas, and that's really where my Plexus story started, because I met a friend who wouldn't be quiet about Plexus. I knew I wanted nothing to do with it. I was like, we're never going to sell anything. And y'all, I did everything for money, because the teacher in me, I was very crafty, or still am kind of crafty. And so I would do whatever I could to make some extra money. But Jared, my husband, actually lost his job. And that is when I finally asked about the business side of Plexus. And my two youngest had severe skin issues. And so a friend of mine gave me a probiotic. I tried it. Eventually, I tried it and was consistent. It worked. And so I was like, you know what? I was so passionate about staying at home with my kids, because my plan was to go back to teaching when my fourth, hit kindergarten. That was my plan, because I had full intent to go back to teaching. And so, but I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So I was like, I'm going to give this business a try. And 2 weeks before moving back to Alabama, I know I'm like playing ping pong, like where I live, but I jumped into this business. And because I knew the products worked, I had friends that I trusted who were in the business. I was like, I think I could just make enough ends meet to wait till Lottie was 2, till she hit kindergarten so I could go back to teaching. And guys, the Lord has completely blown my expectations out of the water. I started homeschooling. So I homeschooled my 4 children, things I said I never would do. I homeschooled my 4 children. And I'm here to tell you, I was able to homeschool 4 kids in a new town, and make it to the top of this company. I helped build a strong, thriving team. That was 8 years ago. And so I was able to use that degree that I never really was planning on using in the way I was, and build this community and this team. And my husband was able to come home and help us homeschool. And with that, again, fast forward a few years, that heart of adoption, we decided it was time to adopt. And I'll never forget, we adopted our 5th kid, and just rocking him in the nursery back in Mobile. And it hit me. That dream I had when I started that education degree, I wasn't overseas rocking babies, but I was rocking my own baby, my own little adoptive. I had no idea where he would be, because we said yes to this company, because I took a leap of faith over a probiotic that I knew worked, and just a business model that I saw my friends thriving. Because of that, yes, it gave our family the choice for adoption, not to raise a penny of support. And I'll just add, before I ended homeschooling, because I homeschooled for 2 years, I was making more in 1 month with Plexus than I made in an entire year as a public school teacher. And I know that sounds insane, but that's my story. And tonight I was running, I'm now living on an international boarding school campus. And I was running around campus tonight, and I got right past the boys' international dorm. And y'all, it hit me for the first time, that thread, God's thread that goes around. Because remember, my dream when I became a teacher was to rock orphans internationally. And here I am. Sorry, I might cry tonight, and I won't ever cry. Here I have a little sweet little 3-year-old boy who we adopted from Salt Lake City. He's not international, but here we are. The Lord has allowed us to come to this campus. My husband is an administrator, not because we need the money. Not honestly, I don't think we could support a whole family of 7 on even an administrator's income, but because it's our ministry and it's our heart and it's our desire. So I know there's so many teachers out there. You have to have a heart. You do it because you love kids, you love people. And maybe it's in the classroom, maybe it's outside the classroom. This has allowed me to love women, to train women, to use my gifts to teach women how to thrive in this business. So I'm so thankful for this company, thankful for these products. And I just invite you tonight to consider it, because you never know what saying yes to this opportunity might mean for your family 8 years down the road.
I love that, Julia. And I just love how the Lord has blessed your family. What a story. So thank you. Thank you for sharing. Next up, we're going to have Miss Victoria. So Victoria, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Hey, everybody. Okay, so first, can we just unmute and or throw some love in the comments for all of our educators, because I know that February is crazy with especially early childhood educators. Okay, we've got Valentine's Day, the 100th day of school, dead of winter right now, at least in Ohio. Can't take Ohio winters, but toss in all the pandemic craziness. But for real, you guys, our teachers are like superheroes. I mean, they always have been, obviously, in my heart as a former classroom teacher. But yeah, let's just throw some love for all of our teachers, because I know that has been a very challenging couple of years, and teaching in itself is very challenging. But I know that I personally have a lot of teachers that are friends of mine, family, and y'all are just hanging on by a thread, but we so appreciate you and thank you. And we need our good educators. So thank you guys. I will just kind of jump right in. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself as a former classroom teacher, now preschool director, and a proud Plexus business mama. So as Julia was saying, like, you have to have a heart for teaching, right? Like, I love kids so much. I love teaching, but man, oh man, it is hard work and it is super tiring. Plus the emotional weight, right, that educators carry is like completely indescribable unless you are a teacher or have been. So I was that teacher that was coming home, taking naps at 4 p.m. until 7 p.m., then working on my lesson plans, falling asleep at the computer, or I was going out to happy hour first and then coming home and taking a nap because, like I said, just all that emotional weight, right? But when I had kids of my own, I couldn't nap, obviously, and happy hour was out of the question. So I turned to coffee and chocolate. So I resonate with Emily, like coffee and sugar got me through the day, and it became a really, really bad habit. And so, with getting little sleep, with having kiddos, I would literally have at least 3 cups of coffee, which for me is like, I'm very sensitive to caffeine. So that, again, created that anxiety and sugar craving. So literally my life was coffee, carbs, repeat, no joke. And so fast forward, after 8 years of teaching, and I used to teach in the DC area, not in DC, in Northern Virginia, but again, our school is 94% poverty. So very challenging population, but also very rewarding as well, but a lot of burnout. So anyway, my family and I decided, as I was pregnant with my second son, that we were going to move back to Ohio to be closer to family. And so I decided I was going to take a break from teaching in the classroom so we could focus on getting my husband a job back in Ohio because, you know, you can't just put in 2 weeks notice with teaching, right? Like you're kind of committed to a 194-day contract or whatever your contract is. So anyway, so I took a break, and after I had my second son, I started having major health issues, GI issues, crazy. Like I could not eat anything without it just completely going right through me. And the anxiety was crazy. And I just knew that was not sustainable. Like I could not have a newborn and a potty training toddler and be in the bathroom 12 times a day. Like that is not possible. So enter Plexus when my son was 4 months old. And, you know, we were getting ready to move back to Ohio. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go back to the classroom once we get settled in Ohio. I'm going to go back to teaching. But as I started sharing more about Plexus, what I found was that people need these products. And I started learning more about gut health and just really doing a lot of research myself. And it fascinated me. And I was like, okay, people, and I just believed in the products more and more and more. And as I started sharing, I believed in more of the business model and how people also need, you know, that residual income and those options and things like that. So I loved the flexibility of it. And it got to the point where it wasn't worth it for me to go back into the classroom and pay for childcare for my 2 kids when I knew that Plexus could offer just that for me. And so I love, like I said, I love the flexibility of it. I love now that as a preschool director, the residual income that it provides for our family. So in this season of life, I get to choose. Okay. So the preschool director position right now is more of a ministry for me. Like I said, I do love kids and I love being in the classroom with them and also, yeah, helping my teachers out. But then knowing too that I have Plexus and I get to help a beautiful team of women, you know, meet them where they are. And this doesn't have to be a full-time thing. It can be whatever you make of it, which is so beautiful, is that it just provides choices and options for you. And so I just wanted to touch on something really quick here, because I know for me, summer was a huge time for me to make that, you know, extra pay as a classroom teacher, right? Because I don't know about you guys, but I only got paid 9 months out of the year and I got paid one time a month. So my husband and I had to be really mindful when we were doing our budget. We had to spread it out through the summer months because, you know, you can't just not get paid in the summer. You still have bills to pay, right? Things to pay for, groceries and, you know, all the things. So, I think it's always funny how they say teachers have the summers off, and we do not have the summers off, right? There's always, like, I was always tutoring or doing some kind of curriculum development thing or nannying, all the different things just to be able to provide for my husband and I and our kids in the summer months. So I know that it's a crazy time. I know that teachers have so much on their plate, but I also know that sometimes, right, at the end of the day, we're sitting there scrolling our social media and things like that. So I just want to challenge you with, what if you took that time that you spent scrolling and just took a few minutes to make a post or reach out to friends that you know could benefit from gut health products like these? Because so, like I said, so many people need these products. And I'm not saying that, you know, everyone needs to stop teaching and do Plexus, because Lord knows we need really good teachers right now. But what I'm saying is just stop and ask yourself, what if this business could be a blessing to you to provide options for your family? Okay. Because you guys, we get paid 11 different ways and several times throughout the month. And that is such a blessing. So that's it for me. And I will put it back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Victoria. I love how you touched on the flexibility, the residual income, and simply the choices. You know, what a blessing and a gift that has been. So next up, we have Miss Brianne. So I'm excited to hear what she's going to share.
Oh, I love Beyond Love, these calls. I love being able to be inspired, because even 6 years in, y'all, this never ever gets old. Every call that I tune into, I could start crying thinking about it. I've known Julia for years. Hearing that part of her story has me filled all over again. So if you have been inspired tonight, will you just drop a heart in the comments? Because we don't have to do these things. That's one of the things that I've grown to love about Plexus, is that this is an option every single day for us. And we truly share because we care. That's not just a saying around here. It's something that we live by. So I want to take you back a few years in my life. I have 3 kiddos and just tucked them in. Hopefully they are sleeping upstairs, but I have not actually been in a classroom setting in 11 years, which sounds crazy to say, but I come from a long line of teachers. My grandma was a reading teacher. My mom was a math teacher. And so while I had other dreams as a kid, that was just something that I kind of naturally fell into. I went to college, got my master's, thought that that's where I would end up being. I got my first teaching job in a 6th grade classroom, and I felt really secure. It was about 20 minutes away from where my husband and I live. We have a dairy farm in central Pennsylvania, and I had just settled into that life. I was not one that necessarily dreamed of being a mom or a stay-at-home mom. I didn't have kids when I started teaching, but when I had my first baby, everything changed for me. I was missing out on so many moments with her. I was dropping her off, thankfully, with family every single morning, but coming and picking her up and hearing about all of her new things, that changed a lot for me. And so while I still loved teaching, I loved my time in the classroom, it really started playing a toll on my health. About 11 months in, when she was 11 months old, I was diagnosed with my first autoimmune disorder. And 3 months after that, she had her first healthcare. She has a lot of intolerances. Certain foods would send her to the emergency room. And so we began this long journey of health. Another year later, I had my second daughter, and I decided that I needed to take a year off from teaching, both to focus on my health and to focus on my daughter's health. And in that time, of course, as teachers, we know that you don't get full pay. Living on a dairy farming salary was really hard. And so we learned to supplement a little bit. I started a vinyl business. I would tuck kids in at night. I would go downstairs, I would make vinyl, and I was selling it on Etsy. So I was already doing network marketing, even though I was super, super skeptical of it, but we needed the extra. So fast forward a couple more months, I decided, thanks to a couple of people in my life that really sat me down, I was diagnosed with a few more things by that time. My health was in shambles. My hormones were all over the place. And they sat me down and they just said, listen, you can't go back to the classroom right now. And my husband and I made a really hard decision that I was going to walk away from teaching. It was scary, y'all. It was scary to walk away from the insurance. It was scary to walk away from a full-time job. And at that time, I didn't see the bigger picture. And so I want to encourage you right now, whether you are in a moment and in a season where you are loving life and you have everything that you think mapped out, if you think you're never going to leave the classroom, or if you're in a really scary position, this is for you. The health products are for you. The opportunity is for you. The community is for you. I did not know then that God was laying out an entire plan ahead of me. I walked out of that principal's office that day, tears in my eyes, streaming down my face. A week later, I found out that my son was on the way. He had no insurance, 3 kids in 3 years, and lots of health issues. I was terrified. And it took me 3 more years to find Plexus and to have that fall into our laps. And I thank God every single day that teaching background, that all of those struggles led me to this. I tell you all of that because, again, whether you love where you are at right now, and I love that Victoria said it, we're not encouraging anyone to leave where you're at. We're not encouraging anyone to step out and do something different. But what I do want to encourage you with is to have a backup plan, to have something extra, to have something that gives you more money at the end of your month because you deserve it, because you deserve to dream really, really big. because you deserve to not run on chocolate and coffee, and because the people that are in your life deserve to have you at your best. And we know now more than ever over the last 2 years, the top stressors that we feel are health and finances. And never in my wildest dreams did I think that my answer was going to come in the form of a network marketing company, because I was skeptical, beyond skeptical. And with this company, it truly is done a different way and done the right way. We don't have minimums. We don't have to share if we don't want to. And y'all, we're not even the people that are sharing tonight. We're not even on the same teams. We truly get to do this and rise together, because with us, there's not competition. We just want to see you healthy and happy. So I'm going to kick it back to Lisa. But before I go, what I want to encourage every single one of you with, do not go to bed with a thought on your heart or a question on your mind without just reaching back to the person that cared enough to invite you here tonight and get those thoughts out and get those questions answered. They invited you because they absolutely care about you and care about your future.
I love it. And I love the impact that Plexus has made on not only your health, but your daughter's health, and just the impact on your family. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. I loved hearing all your stories. And I want you, after you get all those questions answered, to go to the person who invited you and message them and share with them whose story you were related to and why. And I want you to just think about, what a simple yes could do for you and your family. So thank you guys. We appreciate you educators more than you know, and we are on your side. And just thanks for hopping on.